All right, everybody. Welcome back to the next edition of the Mark You Down for a Cup of Joe podcast. I'm Mark,
And I'm Joe.
and had a little bit of a hiatus, Joe. Not to say that we abandoned the podcast or anything for our loyal listeners, but Joe, do you just kind of want to explain what happened over the last week and a half or so?
Yeah, I just went out to visit some family out in good old Utah. Been a couple of years since I saw a lot of them, so we weren't able to we weren't able to find a good time to go and record. So we're sorry about that, listeners.
Yeah, we're sorry about that. Shouldn't happen again. But with that, there's going to be some housekeeping. So what Joseph and I did is between us, we sent each other our pick'ems just to keep the integrity of the thing going on. And so as we tally from week number 11, or excuse me, 11 and 12, my total will come up to 100 wins picked, right, and then 58 losses. And Joseph, that'll leave you at 93 and 65. So we're actually going to hit that vaunted 110 mark, man. It's going to happen. It's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, it's looking like that, Mark. I know we were talking about that a whole lot at the beginning of the year. If that was achievable, well, we're right on the we're right there, and we still have a lot of football left to be played, a lot of football left to be picked.
Yeah. So let's do that. Let's get right into it, listeners. We're just gonna talk about everything you need to know for Sunday's action. But before we do that, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Helps us out a lot. Help get the word out. Something we can get our podcast out there for the football fans. So, enough being on the soapbox. Joseph, let's jump right into it. And as we know, we had 3 games on Thursday, and unfortunately we couldn't record before then because we were both kind of out of town doing our thing for Thanksgiving. But we sent each other our picks, and my picks were Chicago, Dallas, and New Orleans. And Joseph, yours were Chicago, Buffalo, and New Orleans. Really interesting. You took all 3 road teams, and you were right. All 3 road teams won. So, looks like you're gaining 1 game of ground on us, or on me at least. So, look out for that, listeners. Sorry, what was that?
Gaining on that lead of yours, Mark. One game at a time.
Methodical approach to this whole gaining leads thing. Well, let's dive right into the rest of the games. At this point in the NFL season, all the bye weeks are done. So officially, it's going to be every team playing every week from here on out. So we don't got to worry about that. So it's going to be really cool, really fun. But let's jump right into it, Joseph. We have on Sunday our first game. It's going to be those New York Football Jets going into Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, and poor fans sleeping on the roof. But Joseph, who do you have winning in this game? Will the guy in Cincinnati get off his roof this week?
Even with Andy Dalton playing, I still don't see this Bengals team beating the Jets. I think this is a team Mark, and I don't think we've talked about this a whole lot on the podcast. I know we've talked about it just in our preparation and just our conversations. Just how the Jets aren't as bad as I think people think they are. They had that rough stretch where Sam Darnold got sick, and they had to throw in their second, third, just a guy off the street maybe to go and play quarterback for them, and they really struggled to move the ball offensively. And ever since Sam Darnold's gotten back, I know he had a rough 2 or 3 game stretch where he really looked bad, but after that, he's been playing really well the past few weeks. I know he looked really good last week against Oakland, who isn't that bad of a team. They have talent on that roster. They're no pushover. He lit them up, and I think that's a good sign. He's coming in, and he's going to go up against a winless Cincinnati Bengals team. So I like the Jets. I think Sam Darnold's still gonna play hot. I still think he's gonna. I think he's gonna play. I think he's gonna have another great game this week, which leads to a Jets win.
Yeah, I agree with all the points you say. I'm taking the Jets as well, and I just kind of look at the one thing you didn't mention is that that Jets defensive line is actually really good. It's got a lot of talent, especially on that interior. I think that's going to be a handful for that bad Cincinnati offensive line. And poor Andy Dalton, he's going to get massacred. And poor Bengals fan, he's still sleeping on the roof until they get a win. So he might be sleeping on the roof until next season, honestly, the way this is going. Hopefully he doesn't do that to himself. But anyways, let's move on. We're in agreement there. We've got a spicy division matchup in the AFC South. We've got those frisky Tennessee Titans going in to take on those big boys in Indianapolis and those Colts. Joseph, I'm going to start us off with this one. I have the Tennessee Titans winning this game. I know Jacoby Brissett's back. I know he's playing well. I just think this Titans team is a different team with Ryan Tannehill, and they're a team that I haven't given enough credit or talked about enough. Marcus Mariota is a very conservative game manager type quarterback, and I think Ryan Tannehill is just leaps and bounds better version of him. And this is a pretty loaded football team. And you look at the offensive line, the running back, the defense. It's just a very good all-around team. And this is a game to see who really is going to go to the playoffs or has a chance to go to the playoffs. And I just think this Titans team is going to be motivated to show up and really show people what they're all about.
Yeah, and I agree with everything that you said, Mark. The Titans are actually who I was gonna pick in this game, and my reasoning is kind of along the same. But the biggest reason for me right now is just the way Derrick Henry's been playing the last few weeks. He has just been lighting teams up. He absolutely torched the Jaguars last week, and they're no pushover defense, and he's really been carrying that offense, and I think that's really been able to help Ryan Tannehill have pressure taken off of him. It really forces him. It doesn't force him to put a lot of pressure on himself. Doesn't put him in bad situations to where he can make mistakes. If they can get the ground game going in this game, if they can keep Derrick Henry rolling against this Colts team, then I think they should win this game. So even the Titans on the road.
Yeah, I guess we're both in agreement there. Let's move on, Joseph, to our next matchup, an AFC North battle between two teams that don't like each other, suffice it to say. Helmet Gate, potentially. Um, even with Myles Garrett nowhere to be seen. We've got those Browns going into Pittsburgh to take those Steelers. Joseph, who do you have in this rematch of the literal bloodbath that we saw a couple weeks ago?
I think this is going to be another really good game. I really like Pittsburgh defense. I really like the way the Cleveland offense has been playing lately. And because of what I've seen the past 3 weeks from Cleveland and Baker Mayfield, I'm going to be picking them this week. I know we talked a whole bunch of trash on Baker Mayfield. Towards the beginning of the year, I still talk a little trash on him. I'm still waiting for him to come at me on Twitter. But the past 3 weeks, he has played miles and miles. Like he's stepped up
Pun
his game a
intended.
whole lot. He's thrown 7 touchdowns, so I think 1 interception the past 3 weeks, and he's just looked like the Baker Mayfield we saw towards the end of last season. And Pittsburgh, as good as their defense is, they're struggling. They're going to be starting their third string quarterback against this Browns team. And even though they don't have Myles Garrett, it's still a talented defense. So I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with this Browns offense. So give me Cleveland in this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. And just going back to what you said they're miles and miles above. Is that a pun intended with Mr. Garrett there, and not Jason, whose job might be in jeopardy? I guess the Garretts have not had a good past couple of weeks.
No,
But um, anyways, I'm gonna take the Cleveland Browns for all the reasons you said. I know Pittsburgh has that 6th seed right now, and they have Duck Hodges who's played well. I just think this Cleveland team is a better team, um, simply because of the first string to the third string quarterback discrepancy. And I think Pittsburgh's not going to have a lot of their weapons like James Conner and Juju, so that's going to leave them a little bit more shorthanded. And last time these teams played, Cleveland's defense was all over the field, so I'll take Cleveland in this one.
On the same page there.
There you go.
Moving on, Mark, to a not so spicy matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles, them birds, and they're going to be going after the Dolphins in this one down in Miami, Mark. Um, and I think this matchup should be fairly easy. I'm going to be picking the Philadelphia Eagles. I know I rode the Miami Dolphins, hype train a little bit. A few years
Yes.
and I forget who they were playing. I was riding high on the Dolphins, but was horribly disappointed. I'm not going to be making that mistake again, especially when they're playing a team like Philadelphia, who has had its struggles this year offensively at the receiver position, really struggling to consistently move the ball. But overall, Philadelphia is just a much, much better team. I still trust Carson Wentz to move the ball effectively, even though he may have some receiver mishaps. They still have a great offensive line. They can establish the run, and that front seven is still pretty dang talented. It's still pretty scary. So, it's Magic. I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to keep up with this Eagles team. Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles too. I am concerned about Carson Wentz. He just does not look like himself. I know he doesn't have the weapons or anything like that, but he doesn't look good. But you know what? He only has to play average football, I think, to win this game in Miami. So I'm taking the Eagles for all the reasons you said. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. So give me the Eagles.
All right, very good. Moving on, Mark, to a redemption game for my Packers. We're going down to New York to take on the Giants. And I think this is another fairly easy pick, Mark. I'm going to be picking the Green Bay Packers, not only because of my bias, but just because they're a much, much better team than the Giants. And this stat I'm about to throw out may I think should prove my point. I forget the exact record, but over the past I think 2 or 3 years, I forget the span. I saw this like kind of thing of just the worst teams in the NFL, like teams the like best, like whatever their records were, and
Hmm.
the Giants were just at the very very bottom, like even behind the Cleveland Browns, which is saying something considering the Browns had an 0-16 season in there,
And a one
and
in 15 too.
yeah, exactly. And then just seeing the teams the Giants beat, I think they beat like the Redskins, and that was like half of the wins on their thing. So this Giants in the past few years has not been very good. And I know they have talent on their team right now with Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, but Saquon Barkley I think was a little beat up, and they've really struggled to play consistent on offense, and their defense just hasn't been the same this year. And when you have someone like Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, a very powerful three-headed monster coming into your stadium, I don't think they're going to be able to stop that. So give me the Packers in this one.
Yeah, you and me both agree once again. I'm taking the Packers for everything you said, and I'm just going to flip over to what the Giants side of things. I think this Giants team, I think they have their quarterback. Daniel Jones is playing really, really well, really, really good football. It's just that defense can't stop anyone, and the worst thing you can have is a really bad defense against one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. That's just a recipe for disaster. So disaster's going to happen in the Meadowlands. So I'm taking the Packers.
All right. Very good, Mark. Um, moving on to another kind of crappy team. We were just mentioning a team who could possibly even be worse right now. We got the Washington Redskins, Mark, going down to Carolina to take on the Panthers. And I think this is another easy one, even though Washington is coming off its first victory with Dwayne Haskins as its starting quarterback. I'm going to be picking the Carolina Panthers. That Redskins offense still really struggled to move the ball last week against a subpar Detroit Lions defense. Um, you got the Carolina Panthers with Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Allen, and I forget DJ Moore. I believe that's his first name.
Yep.
Um, who are playing really, really, really good football right now. They can still move the ball effectively, and they just have a tremendous pass rush. Dwayne Haskins. There's that video of him begging for help from his offensive line, asking what he can do to get them to protect him. Well, he's going to be asking them that question a whole lot this week against this Panthers front seven. I don't think they're going to be able to protect him very well. They're going to be all up in his face, and they're just going to pound the ball with Christian McCaffrey. So give me the Panthers in this one.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, you and me both. I'm taking Carolina. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think it's one of those games where you have two rookie quarterbacks and two pretty good defenses. Like, I know Washington hasn't been a great defense, but they have some big guys up front. It's going to, I think, give Christian McCaffrey a little bit of trouble and slow him down just a little bit. I see this game being like a 16 to 10 game for most of the game, and then just Carolina scores a late touchdown to go up 23-24. I think that's kind of what it's going to be. So I think it's going to be fairly competitive, but I don't see a scenario where the Redskins win this one. They struggle too much to move the ball. So give me Carolina as well. But anyways, let's move on, Joseph. We got a Florida matchup, the battle of the turf war over here. For the next one. This doesn't happen often because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to travel to Jacksonville across the state to take on those Jaguars. Joseph, I'm going to start us off with this one. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning this game. Tampa Bay hasn't been like a great team this year, but the one thing Tampa Bay has done is they've been able to put up points. And as it pertains to this Jacksonville team, ever since Gardner Minshew mania kind of ended, even when he wasn't there, it's just they've struggled to really consistently put up points. And I know their defense is good, but Tampa has some weapons. Jameis, he'll throw some picks, but he'll also throw a bunch of touchdowns too. So just because of that, I'm just gonna take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I don't think Jacksonville can keep up.
Mark, me and you are actually on the same thinking right there, on the same page. I too have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this one.
Wow.
I know it's a risk. I know we're putting a lot of trust in Jameis Winston to not throw 5 picks, but he has shown this year that he can still put up good offensive numbers. He's just been throwing it up to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans all year, and it's worked out pretty okay for him. And I just don't trust Nick Foles right now to move the ball consistently. I know he's still getting back into the swing of things. He just doesn't look as good as he did last year, and I don't think he's looking like the guy they thought he was going to be this year. I don't. So for that, give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and potentially a shootout.
Yes, potentially a shootout. And this is kind of a weird game to where if Jameis throws 2 or 3 picks, I can still see Tampa Bay winning. Normally it's not like that, but that makes me a little bit more comfortable with them. But anyways, let's move on to our matchup of the week, the marquee game, probably the best game of the week, potentially best game of the year if everything pans out. We've got those 49ers, red hot 49ers, going to go into Baltimore to take on those Ravens, those Edgar Allan Poes, man. With Lamar Jackson playing at an MVP level, then you got Nick Bosa over there, rushing the passer. Joseph, who is going to slow who down in this matchup?
Mark, we've talked about the Patriots, and this may seem crazy me bringing up the Patriots right now, but we've talked about them and how good they are, and just how you don't pick against them. Well, that's kind of how I feel about Baltimore right now. I was a little skeptical about them towards the beginning of the year, if they could really maintain this, if they are really good. But I've been able to watch a couple of their games these past few weeks, and they just look completely dominant. They've just bullied the past 2 teams that they've played. They annihilated the Texans, and then who did they just humiliate on national television? It was
the Rams.
Yes, the Rams, and I know the Rams have had their struggles offensively, but their defense is still legit. Lamar Jackson is a legitimate weapon at quarterback. No one has had an answer for him so far. And as good as the 49ers defense may be, as good as their defensive line may be, I don't think they're going to be able to slow down Lamar Jackson enough to really stop that offense. So in this one, give me the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, Joseph, I think kind of what you say about, there's like three rules in life or whatever. There's three guarantees in life. There's death, taxes, and to me, the third one that I sneak in there is the Patriots are gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
I think I agree with you, like on the whole thing where Baltimore has become one of those teams this year to where you just can't pick against them. Like they are playing a dominant brand of football that, no one can match. And I think every year there's one team that's just dominates every other team. It feels like last year it was like the Rams and or Kansas City. This year it's the Ravens, man. They're playing a different brand of football. They're going to have a handful dealing with Nick Bosa, and that front seven. But I think Lamar Jackson finds a way at home to win this. I mean, no one's even been able to keep it close, and I think this will be a lot closer of a game. But Lamar Jackson's a special player. I know I make digs at him for being a running back because he runs so much, but like if you really look at it, he is a special quarterback. And they're a special team this year, and I'm not picking against them here. So give me the Ravens.
All right, we're on the same page there. Moving on, Mark, to another. This could be an interesting matchup, Mark. We got an NFC West showdown between the Los Angeles Rams and the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm gonna go on a little feeling I have right now, Mark, just based on what I've seen. And it may seem crazy to some people, but I'm going to be picking the Arizona Cardinals in this matchup. I know me and you have talked about Kyler Murray off air, on the air a little bit, how we both like him. We've seen it so far that he's shown that he can play at the NFL level. And that offense has some juice to it. It's shown that it can play at a high level at times this season. And this Rams offense has just kind of sputtered. It's really been sputtering this entire year. They haven't been able to do a whole lot good consistently this season, and I think that's a big reason why they're sitting at 6-5 or 6-6, whatever their record is. And I've just completely lost my trust in Jared Goff and his ability to lead this Rams team down the field and score points. So in this matchup, I'm gonna pick the Arizona Cardinals just because I like Kyler Murray a little bit more. I think he's a little bit better than Jared Goff right now. He's playing a little bit better, and they'll be able to control the ball a little bit better on offense than the Los Angeles Rams. So, give me them Cardinals.
So Joseph, I have this rule. I've learned it. I listened to Colin Cowherd, and I kind of agree. I subscribe to this theory: is don't bet against a good team that has just gotten embarrassed by another team. Usually they come back the next week and they play really well. They have a lights out game. Well, guess what, Joseph? The LA Rams are not a good team. So I don't see them bouncing back from this. If anything, I feel like that loss to the Ravens will make them spiral out of control. And yeah, I get it. They still have that defense, and that kind of makes them a good team. But that offense, I've lost faith in completely. I don't know if Sean McVay can adjust. I don't know if it's something where Jared Goff is broken and they can't fix him. But you said you like Kyler Murray a little bit more. I like him a whole lot more. I think the world of Murray and less of the world, than Jared Goff. So just based off of that, I mean, we saw Kyler Murray put up a bunch of points against like a great San Francisco defense. He is a bona fide superstar. He's going to be able to do that at home, and I think he does beat those Rams as well. So give me the Cardinals.
Okay, we're on the same page there. I don't think we've had a differing opinion yet so far, but we'll see about that as we keep going.
Well, we have, if you count Thursday, Dallas and Buffalo. That's
true,
the one.
That. Yes.
But yes, so far nothing like on Sunday, I guess you can say. But anyways,
we got some spicy matchups left to cover, and I think we may have some differing opinions as we keep going. Moving on, Mark, we have a AFC West showdown. I'd like to say spicy, but this isn't a spicy AFC West showdown. We got them LA Chargers, them Bolts, going down, or going up, I should say, to play the Denver Broncos in the Mile High Stadium. And oh, Mark, this is a tough one. Um, I really don't like either of these teams right now. I don't like the way either one of them are playing. But I'm gonna be picking the Los Angeles Chargers in this one, and I, you know, a lot has been said about the Chargers, I think, this year, and I feel like a lot said about them every year, how they have the talent to go far, but they can never seem to put it together. And I know they haven't looked good this year. I shouldn't say a whole lot. They've shown flashes, but they just haven't been able to do it consistently. But Denver is just a really, really, really bad team this year. And this Chargers defense is still legit. They actually have been playing pretty well the past few weeks. Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, they've both been getting to the passer a little bit more. They have a ton of talent in the backfield. I think Austin Eckler and Melvin Gordon can, uh, help this offense, carry this offense a little bit more. And Denver's shown the past few weeks that they really can't move the ball effectively. They scored 3 against Buffalo. Uh, after the first half in Minnesota, they went cold offensively. So I don't trust them to move the ball. I think the Chargers are going to get it done.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are going to get it done. As much as we've ragged on Denver this year, they're actually not that bad of a football team. It's just that quarterback position. We've got some weapons here and there, and their defense has actually played really well as of late. But again, it's that quarterback to where you're starting Brandon Allen, an undrafted guy, I believe. A guy who's only made 2 starts. It's just, I know Philip Rivers hasn't played as well, but I trust that Chargers pass rush to get there more consistently, I guess, than Denver's right now, and make life hard for Brandon Allen. And I think the Chargers are just a more talented team. So this is a hard one. Don't like picking this game, but I'm just going to take the Chargers in this one.
All right. So we're on the same page again. Moving on, Mark, I know I was talking about a spicy AFC West matchup, and this is what I was referring to. We got the Oakland Raiders, going down to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'll go ahead and start us off on this one, Mark. And, I may be a little bold right now. If I am going to be picking the Oakland Raiders in this one, Mark.
Whoa.
And this is partly due to what I've seen in the Chiefs the past few weeks. They just haven't been the same, offensively. It looks like they had that one big game against Tennessee, but after that, they've kind of sputtered a little bit, and they've had their moments this year where they've sputtered. They just haven't looked as consistently good on offense this year. Is it the Madden curse? I don't know. Is Patrick Mahomes, playing hurt a little bit? I'm not sure that could be it either. Whatever it is, they just do not look the same offensively. Still really, really good. I don't want to say they're not playing good offensively, but when you compare it to last year, it does not look the same. And that defense is just absolutely atrocious. And when you got a team like the Raiders coming in that can establish the run with a big offensive line, I think they can just bully this defense around, rack up the running yards, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. If Derek Carr can play a mistake-free game and, play like he was before that Jets stinker, then I think they put themselves in position to win this game. So give me the Oakland Raiders.
I'm actually in the city. It hurts, man. This you don't know how it hurts, because this is the division really, when it comes down to it. I mean, the Raiders have played good and bad at times. You know, the Chiefs, same thing. And they both kind of haven't played great the past game that they've played. But really, to me, this comes down to me not trusting Derek Carr. Um, I get that the Raiders are going to establish the run. They're probably going to do really well on the ground and all that. Kansas City won't be able to stop it. Kansas City will put up some points. But in his career, Derek Carr has not won in Kansas City, and this is going on year 6. So 5 times he's been to Kansas City. 5 times he's lost. And it's not that just that he's lost, it's the way that he's lost. It's that cold weather where he's not able to move the ball. You know, I think statistically his worst games of his career have come in Kansas City. You could probably look at like 3 or 4 of his top 5 worst games, and it's Kansas City. Um, I don't trust Derek Carr right now. I really like Derek Carr. Don't love him, but it's just the way he plays, man. It's up and down, and it's really hard to win like that, especially in cold Kansas City, where you're gonna need to make plays. You're gonna need plays out of your quarterback. So just because of that, I'm just gonna take the Chiefs, and because they're at home mostly, I'm gonna take them at home. But would it surprise me if the Raiders win? No, but it would surprise me if Derek Carr plays well in Kansas City. So give me the Chiefs.
All right, so we have our second differing opinion of the week. This could be a potential, um, this could be either really good for me or really bad for me. The Raiders
Oh
better
man,
come through this
I
one.
I hope you're right. Honestly, like this is nothing compared to like my Raiders actually beating the Chiefs in Kansas City. You know how great that would be. Oh man. But anyways,
um,
let's move on to our next matchup. We've got actually really another really spicy matchup. We've got those New England Patriots, those with Billy Belichick at the helm, traveling to Houston to take on Deshaun Watson and the Texans with Billy O'Brien. Joseph, I'm going to start us off with this one. I'm going to take the New England Patriots here. I know this game's on the road. I know Deshaun Watson's, an MVP caliber quarterback. Not that he's having necessarily his MVP season this year, but he's that caliber of quarterback. I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm not feeling as strong about the Patriots in this one, but it's like my heart's telling me, oh, pick the Texans, but my head's telling me, no, Bill Belichick is gonna figure out a way to win this game and shut down that offense. And we saw that Houston got shut down completely by the Ravens, and I think that's the last time we've seen them on the field. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was that shellacking by the no, I guess they beat the Colts on Thursday night. That's right. But I don't know. I just trust Bill Belichick to really make life difficult for Deshaun Watson enough to the point where the Patriots can get the win on the road.
this is, I agree with what you've said, Mark, but you mentioned how you're following your head right now, not following your heart. Well, Mark, I'm going to be following my heart in this one. I'm going to be taking the Houston Texans,
Oh man,
and
spicy.
and this is one of those games where I could potentially see Deshaun Watson lighting up the Patriots defense for a couple touchdowns, or I could
Wow.
see the Patriots defense just hitting him, just about every other play, and then Deshaun Watson coming off the field looking for his mommy. um,
Well, that was
Bill
uncalled
Belichick
for.
can do that. He does that to quarterbacks sometimes. But I think the biggest reason why I'm leaning towards the Texans in this one is they are a talented team and their offensive line has been playing better this year. They have been protecting Deshaun Watson and Will Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins. They have been playing really well this year. Will Fuller has just been dominant at times this year. And if they can get those guys going, I just don't think this Patriots offense uh, can keep up with this Houston offense with Deshaun Watson. They just do not look in sync. I know they have been missing some of their receivers, but even then, Tom Brady just does not look the same. it looks like age is catching up with him a little bit. So for that, I'm counting on Deshaun Watson to have a pretty big game, and if he does, Texans come out and win this one.
Oh, this is spicy. We have three differences so far, and I just want to point out, not to like invalidate your point or anything. I'm just saying it's kind of crazy the way you describe like how good this Patriots defense is. You said, I think Deshaun Watson's gonna light up the scoreboard with like two touchdowns, like a couple of touchdowns. That's insane, dude. Like if that's lighting up the scoreboard, your defense is it's something else. Like they're on a different level. And I
Yes.
know they're not talented as the Niners or anything like that, but like I think they just are more cohesive and play better as a unit. But anyways, let's move on to our last matchup, Joseph. We have Monday Night Football, and we have those Minnesota Vikings going up into Seattle to take on those Seahawks. Who are coming off a big win. Both of them are coming off big wins. So, anyways, Joseph, who do you have in this matchup?
Mark, I'm not going to pick against the MVP of the 2019 season. I'm going to be taking the Seattle Seahawks in this one. Russell Wilson has just been playing lights out. He has just been dominating everybody he plays. I know the team around him isn't as good as the teams he's had before, but that has not been an issue at all this year. Uh, and seeing the way he played against the Niners, where he was basically carrying them to victory, I think he can do that again this week against a very, very good Minnesota defense, but nothing like I think what he saw in San Francisco. Um, and I know we keep saying this about the Niners, how we're waiting for Jimmy G to try and have to keep up with the quarterback. I mean, excuse me, I'm still thinking about that Niners game. Um, this Minnesota team, I think, uh, I think they're going to struggle stopping Russell Wilson this game, but this, I think, is going to be an exciting game. I could see this turning into a shootout, turning it into, like a 35-32 or a 38-35 type of game. And even though I feel like it's gonna be like that, I'm still taking the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm taking the Seahawks at home. Biggest reason, probably. I don't feel comfortable picking this game either because Russell Wilson, I don't think he's the MVP front runner anymore, though I think he should be because of how much his team, he needs him. I think Lamar is probably going to win that if he keeps playing the way he does. But Russell Wilson's playing great. Kirk Cousins is having the best year of his career. I mean, he's just elevated to another level of play, and that offense is scary when you think about it. Like if Kirk Cousins is on his game, you have two awesome number one receivers. They're getting Thielen back. They have Diggs. You have Irv Smith, who's a very athletic tight end, and then you have the man Dalvin Cook himself, and that's a very potential to have a very explosive offense. So because of that, I think they're actually going to be able to keep up relatively well against a pretty bad Seattle defense. But yeah, I'm just going to pick Russell Wilson and his experience. I mean, he is a winner. He's going to win it at the end somehow, some way. So yeah, give me Russell Wilson and the Seahawks as well.
All right, cool. We're on the same page there. Only a
Uh-huh.
couple of differences. Gives me some chance to make up some ground. Mark, I feel like
There's
this
them.
is how I'm going to come back and get this lead back from you. It's going to be like in football where you just have one of those just you know frustrating, just painful to watch, like 20 play, like 12-minute drive that goes like 63 yards down the field. That's what it's going to be like, Mark. It's going to be hard. It's going to be gritty, but at the end, it's going to get the job done.
Yeah, it has potential to do that. Here's my thing. I feel like it's like kind of like taking your example. It's more like you're down by like 20, like 21 points, and it's like 4th and 1, and you're on like their 20. and then the coach sends in the field goal kicker to just kind of like, oh, okay, let's get 3 points on the board, right? And you're like, oh, that's so insignificant. But then when it comes down to the end of the game, they give themselves a chance to win because they did that instead of going for it. I feel like that's kind of like what's happening here. If you get a couple right, then I have to kind of be on my toes a little bit. But we'll see about that. We'll see about that tomorrow. Really, I think we have a pretty good slate of NFL games and some stinkers potentially. So sorry to fans of those teams, but anyways, we're gonna sign out. Have more content for you. Thank you so much, listeners, for staying around. But anyways, this has been Mark.
This has been Joe.
And you guys have a good evening. Take care.